It's a beautiful day because we choose to make it such, and thus feel gratitude no matter what is going on outside. And with that, let's begin a new lesson. Where time has set an end point. Where time has set an end point, like death, is not where the eternal is, nor where eternity, for that matter, is. Covering our problems and our pains with thoughts and perceptions of beauty, goodness, truth, and love, like repetitive affirmations, do not help us to escape from the subconscious stuff that goes on within us, like fear, or anxiety, or despondency, or even guilt that we are not even aware of. Our problems and our pains should, however, lead us to ask philosophic questions of ourselves in our own minds, such as, why do I feel this way? Why do I have some days wherein I wake up happy and other days I wake up sad or down or anxious? Where are these thoughts and feelings coming from? These are questions we should be asking ourselves throughout our entire adult lifetime. For that matter, who am I? Where or why am I here? Why do I have fits of frustration, bouts of anger? Why do I get sick? If these questions have not been answered by you, by us, then we still have unresolved issues, mainly guilt, that are so deeply buried we will never consider the fact that we have them, let alone admit that they are unresolved and unconscious. And the only thing that is going to work to move us beyond where we are is true forgiveness. True forgiveness, not the current way of forgiving, you screwed up and I'm going to forgive you and let it go this time. But rather approaching forgiveness and life from a different model, the quantum model, which has true forgiveness as its main component. Again, the current way of forgiving entails seeing an error in another, and that's the problem. I'm going to talk about forgiveness for a little bit here. We see errors, and we see them in others. Then if conditions are right, we forgive them their trespasses. Okay? We forgive them their trespasses. Hey, what else are we going to do? We were taught to ask for forgiveness of others and of ourselves. But inherent in this process, the way we forgive today is that we were also taught to blame others by projecting our stuff away from ourselves and onto others. This way we can still feel good about ourselves while that other person is making all the mistakes. But that's not forgiveness, not in the true sense. True forgiveness is never seeing an error in another in the first place. But we have to take baby steps to get there. For most of us, that's an impossible pill to swallow. It's hard to swallow because whatever it was that necessitated forgiveness in the first place isn't going to be forgiven by someone who believes in sin or error and subsequently blame and guilt and jail time or punishment at the very least. So forgiveness to that person is a way of acknowledging blame and then theoretically letting it go. But what that person doesn't yet understand is that the transgression didn't really happen. It is impossible for most of us to believe that this life as we live it is just a dream. Why? Because we believe in the body. And the body experiences both pain and pleasure, which can be felt to varying degrees. But you have heard the expression in this world, or you have heard the expression in this world, but not of this world. This phrase has a lot of import, and to the person who seeks, has a lot of answers. Now, I do hear people say, this is only a dream, or this is an illusion. But when it comes down to specifics in their lifetimes, and in their lives, these same people are as programmed as anyone else. It is tough to get rid of a subconscious belief. We believe that what is happening here is actually real. And that way of thinking, well, that's another forgiveness opportunity. True forgiveness is forgiving others for any thoughts we may have had about another. True forgiveness is forgiving others for any thoughts we may have had that another erred. This quantum model of forgiving is what Ho'oponopono is all about. It is about forgiving others for the errors of our ways. It is forgiving others for seeing an error anywhere outside of ourselves. It's forgiving others for thinking less of them than what they really are. The process of forgiving in this way comes back to us, always. When we forgive another, we are actually forgiving ourselves. We typically forgive others rather than ourselves because we typically blame others rather than ourselves. So since we are already expert at projecting our stuff onto others, it naturally follows that we project forgiveness onto others. In doing so, we, in effect, forgive ourselves. Said another way, blaming another is all about blaming ourselves, and forgiving another is all about forgiving ourselves. We end up forgiving ourselves by projecting our forgiveness onto the other person. It is us, after all, who chooses to see the error of another, the darkness in another. Well, if we can see it in another, it must be within us. So to rid ourselves of that darkness and to truly forgive takes quite a bit of practice and quite an advanced soul. Most of us are neophytes, if not totally ignorant to the concept of true forgiveness. And as long as we identify with our bodies and specialness, by the way, that is, we think this person is more special than that person, we will continue to believe that giving up things in this world involves sacrifice and loss. And we will continue to forgive the way we currently forgive. And with that as the backdrop to our belief system, it would be impossible to truly forgive another, to jump to the quantum model. But the seeker begins to sense that the truth is hidden behind a veil that eventually we will see through. Remember, this is a world of time where all things end. I opened up today's lesson with the following: where time has set an endpoint is not where the eternal is. So looking for answers in this world will not ever produce answers. If we continue on the same path we are on and refuse to look at things differently, then we will continue to get the same thing and be disappointed. When we change the way we look at what we look at, however, the things we look at change because we change. Only then will we be able to smile at everything that happens. Now, we are not being asked to give up the world, only to change our thoughts about the world, to change our viewpoint about this place we call home. It might be worth a little time to think once more about the value of this world. Perhaps we will concede that there is no loss in letting go all thought of value here. The world we see is merciless, unstable, cruel, unconcerned with us as individuals. We can see this, it's going on every single day. Quick to avenge and filled with a lot of hate. It gives only to take away. But how can it not? It is home to and the domain of the ego. No lasting love is found here in the world, for love does not exist in the world of ups and downs. It only exists within as part of our spirit. And until we decide to live fully in spirit, we will not experience true love. Remember, love can only give of itself. If we really think that what we call love is love, then that's another forgiveness opportunity. If what we call love was everlasting, it would never vanquish, as love never dies. Again, this is the world of time where all things end. Therefore, love cannot be in this world, because love does not end, but this world does, because it's a world of time. This lesson, titled beyond this world there is another, refers to three worlds. The ego's world, which we live in, again, merciless, unstable, cruel. Then there is the real world, which corrects the ego, and the one in which we find ourselves smiling at all things. And lastly, there is what we call heaven. We do not go from our bodily experience in the world of ego directly home to heaven, but from the body's world to the real world of the mind, which, by the way, is where this entire play, this dream, takes place, in the mind. So when I talk about the unconscious or subconscious guilt, this intervening step of being in the right mind has us look at the guilt and realize ultimately it is made up, just like this supposed world, thus dissolving its existence. When a person gets to this point of realization, they then also realize that forgiveness is totally unnecessary. This is why I am always saying that this is a dream. When guilt is gone from within and the need for forgiveness goes away, all that remains is the love in our right minds. We thus stand at heaven's gate. But wait a minute. We have a long ways to go yet, because there's no way we're going to forgive others for what they have not done, because we all believe they have done something, let alone admit that we have unconscious guilt that needs to be resolved before we can ever stand at heaven's gate. Hell no, we're going to die and we're going to heaven's gate is what we believe. How can we resolve something that we are unaware of due to the fact that it is unconscious, supposedly? And yet when the memory of God comes to us in the holy place of forgiveness, we will remember nothing else. And memory will become as useless as learning, as our only purpose at that point will be to create as we were designed to do. Yet this we cannot know until every perception has been cleansed and purified and finally removed forever. Forgiveness brings us from the world of false perception to true perception, and it is there, at that place, that peace awaits. In the meantime, we will remain mindless, as the ego's purpose is to keep us in such a state. Mindlessness is akin to nothingness. Yet if we give it some thought, we lose nothing by choosing against nothingness. But giving up nothingness is hard. It's hard to give up since we don't look at the little that we do gain, mixed in with our many losses, as something that we wish to sacrifice. So we continue to do what we do in the hopes that things will work out. And the ego thus has us right where it wants us, nowhere, in the land of nothingness. So we need to become aware of the meaning of each decision we make. Deciding for the eternal, everything will be given to us at no cost. Deciding against the eternal, and we choose nothing at the expense of the awareness of everything. There is no external light that shines upon us, for the light is within. Indeed, the light is us. I am the light of the world. Ever hear of that? Well, that's for us to say also. Our mind can see all that I am talking about clearly when in the right mind, but never when in the wrong mind. Our eyes cannot see it because our eyes were made not to see and know the mind's light. The eyes were made not to see the mind's darkness either, the darkness of guilt. So today, a day of grace is given to us, and for it we give thanks. This very day we can realize that what we feared to lose is only loss. It's another way of saying the only thing to fear is fear itself. There's nothing behind it. Remember this saying I'm going to tell you when disappointment approaches. The world I see holds nothing that I want. Beyond this world, there is a world that I want. That's your mantra. Thank you. Remember, enjoy this day. It's your choice. Have a great day, everybody. See you next time.